Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and tonight I would like to present the first annual Best Beard in FPV Awards. Let's go. In no particular order, I shall present to you 10 candidates which may or may not win the Best Beard in FPV award. No actual award will be given out, but these candidates will receive bragging rights. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first person we're going to present to you tonight is Bob Roogi, aka Kabab FPV. Bob seems to be obsessed with teeth. No one's really certain why, but he names all of his frames after dental equipment. Bob is also on a personal spiritual quest to perfect the sub 100 gram FPV industry. So far, he has posted many exciting videos to the PyroFlip FPV group, but we have not yet seen an actual frame. Finally, one thing that has been brought to our attention is that Bob has quite an extensive phone bill to people in China, where he speaks with many manufacturers. So, we'll see if Bob wins tonight. The second person on our list tonight is the one and only Drew Camden, aka Drib. Now, many have noted that he may have the prettiest eyes in FPV, though some feel that his augmentation with mascara is what is to blame there. It is also noted that Drew may or may not be a closet hipster. We're not 100% certain, but it seems likely. Finally, there is an ongoing controversy about whether or not he does in fact wax his cat, or whether or not it is a true hairless cat. This is one of those things that will continue to plague the committee, and we have taken it under advisement when it comes to administering this award. The third entrant into tonight's Best Beard in FPV Awards is none other than Jeff Orta, sometimes called Vortex. Jeff has an interesting history and was once in a gang, which is where he used to go by the name Jaboy. Occasionally, you can still hear him referenced by his gang name mixed with his FPV name, and they call him Jaboy Vortex. Jeff is also known as the Bando Slayer, not the least of which because he can take any bando and make it look awesome, even like a broken down gas station on the side of the road. It's amazing. It is worth noting that Jeff once rescued Drib's drone with a set of hooks on his drone. It was quite an interesting rescue, and we feel that perhaps Jeff has propped up the Drib in general throughout their careers together. Let's move on to the next character. The fourth entrant tonight is none other than Johnny Schaer. Johnny goes by JohnnyFPV, which is very easy to remember, and has probably helped him in his career in general. Johnny is so juicy that if you touch him, you often have to wipe your hand, because it just sort of oozes out of his pores. Not in a gross way, but like, you know, just anyways. We'll move on. The interesting thing about Johnny, and one of the things that bothers the committee, is that he often disappears for a year on end and then shows up with an epic reel at the end of the year. No one really heard from him very much this year, and all of a sudden he's flying with rhinos and lions in Africa. It is also worth noting that Johnny may be old enough to drive, but we're not 100% certain. The fifth entrant in tonight's competition is Kevin Dougherty. Kevin, also known as Stingersswarm, is the power loop king, and in fact would power loop your mother if he was able to. One thing that is of note is that Kevin's commitment to the beard is pretty intense. Kevin was at one point an airline pilot, but he gave that up so that he could grow this magnificent beard that you see before you. Kevin is also part of the Atlanta crew, and, well, maybe he's the best. Our sixth entrant in tonight's Best Beard Awards in FPV is none other than Lexie Janson. Now, I would like to point out that the committee felt that we were underrepresenting women in the competition, and we felt that Lexie was a perfectly acceptable entrant. It turns out that Lexie, who flies under the name My On High, doesn't build her own drones. In fact, she used to build her own drones, but somewhere along the line, she trained her two cats how to build those drones for her. It's really kind of wild. Lexie is known for globetrotting and taking her drones with her everywhere. I think this year she went to China, she went to many parts of Europe, she went to London, she went to Italy, she went to Hawaii. Lexie gets around the world a lot. And it's worth noting that Lexie is a racer at heart, however, she does a pretty mean freestyle. Our seventh entrant is none other than Mike Virgin, aka Obsidian FPV. Mike flies the longest distances that we have ever seen. It is also interesting that whenever he walks, there's a strange clanging sound, which nobody has been able to figure out where that is coming from. Mike is starting a spiritual movement where he promotes meditation in the morning and has in fact abandoned quads altogether in order to fly wings. That's okay, Mike. We still love you, and it's still technically FPV. Our eighth entrant is none other than Nick Willard, aka Wild Willy. Nick is an American expat currently residing in Australia. There is a well-known consideration that he really digs the color pink, but there is some concern amongst the committee that if he returns from Australia to the States, because he's been upside down so long, his beard may flip the other direction. So we're keeping an eye on that and taking that into consideration. Our ninth entrant into the best beard in FPV is none other than Paul Nurkkala, who also goes by the handle Nurk. Paul secretly wants to be a train conductor and has spent a lot of time flying around trains. You may have seen that video. He also is really into 3-inch quads for some reason and likes to fly them around museums, but we're not really going to hold that against him. And finally, the one thing that the committee has definitely noted is that the last epic flight footage that has come out of Nurk ended with him landing in a bus. It's hard to land in a bus. And finally, the 10th entrant into the best beard in FPV is none other than Stacey Abshire, who also goes by the handle Staceman. Stacey has the absolute best accent in FPV. He's also a really nice guy and has some incredibly encouraging words, but we think that might be because he has a really good upbringing. And finally, his beard is so long that it is probably worth noting that he spends more on shampoo for his beard than he does for his hair. So these are our 10 entrants. Let us begin divvying out the awards. So, may I have a drum roll, please? The second runner-up, who is also third place, is none other than Kevin Dougherty. Dougherty? I don't know. How do you say this dude's last name? Anyways, look at that beard. That beard looks like it could belong on Captain Ahab. That is truly an epic beard. And well worth the third place finish in the best beard in FPV. Moving on to second place, or the first runner-up, we have none other than Mike Virgin. The committee was split on actually who to deliver this to, but Mike came in second. Mike has a very good long beard, and really honestly, the cojones it takes to fly the extreme long range that he flies is pretty awesome. And finally, for our number one best beard in FPV, we would like to give it to none other than Stacey Abshire. Not only is he a really awesome dude, but man, look at that beard. It is epic. There's really not a better beard in FPV, quite honestly. Now, the committee did some considering, and we would also like to hand out an honorable mention. That honorable mention goes to Lexie Janson, who is also one of the biggest badasses in FPV. Even though she doesn't have a beard, and quite frankly, we're glad she doesn't have a beard, she is still pretty badass and goes to prove that you don't need a beard to fly FPV. So, Lexie, congratulations. We would like to thank all of the entrants, and we would like to give our warmest regards to Mr. Abshire for his #1 place finish. Thank you. My name is Mike, and this has been the best beard in FPV presentation for 2019. Y'all have a great day.